Please let him wait on the tree a bit longer, I prayed, as we made our way to the spot near the Barbale stream in the A zone of Karnataka's Kabini forest, where Karia, the world's most famous black panther, had been sighted on safari that very morning. For years, I had been on an unsuccessful mission to see this black cat, also known fondly as simply Blackie. Hope undiminished, I had only just got to Kabini again that afternoon with my husband Nandan and a group of rather excited friends who had already declared that it was they who were going to bring me luck this time. But it had been hours since the morning safari. Would the panther stay in one spot that long? My heart was hammering, though I was pretending nonchalance. Would I miss Blackie yet again? Stay, Blackie, stay. Rarely had 4 kilometers seemed so far away as the jeep made its slow and steady way to the far side, the other side of the tourist zone. But suddenly we were there. A clutch of jeeps was at the spot already. The photographers' long lenses, no doubt already weary with multiple shots of a still silhouette. But where were they looking? There it was. The black shape I had been hunting hungrily for so long. Karia was simply draped on a branch, 30 feet away from our jeep, 30 feet above the ground, a little too far for my aging eyes. But who was I to complain? Exactly 5 years after I began my search, and exactly 5 days after my talk on romancing the Black Panther at the Bangalore Literature Festival, I had finally got my darshan of the cat that I had called a kind of guru. Several people have asked me about what that moment was like. It's hard to explain without being terribly self-conscious, so please bear with me. We know when the heart is filled to the brim, it kind of leaks out through the eyes. And as I peered through my binoculars at the dark shadow, those lenses were clouded. I had to pull out my wipes. And then I realized that everyone around me was watching me watch Blackie. Because of late, I had become a bit of a sorry spectacle, roaming around routinely in search of Karia, safari after safari. But there were only friendly, sympathetic faces all around me. My cheeks split into the broadest grin. I joined my hands in a namaste. Then I waved and put both my thumbs up. Thank you, I whispered to my favorite forest. Thank you, I said to all the well-wishers who had brought me to this point. Dhanyavad ji, I said to the black cat, who by now had turned his head to gaze down imperiously at us all. It was an unforgettable tableau. Apart from the gentle murmur of the nearby Barbale stream, the forest was still under the afternoon sun, and so was Blackie. I could quietly soak him in. It's really hard to explain, but I felt both shrunken and expanded at the same time, dissolved into an infinitesimal part of my surroundings and yet filled out into the forest. Longing had morphed into belonging. I'm so grateful that I got to sit contentedly with Karia for such a long while that day. He stayed put on the tree, once in a while looking behind us to the bushes as though waiting for something. And it was later in the evening when I realized whom I had to also thank for Karia's caution that day. As the sun slanted and the forest began to cool, who should appear just next to us but the most dominant tiger of the forest, whom Charles Jung called Khal in his documentary, but whom some of us call Spanner for the eponymous markings on his cheeks. With apologies to the conservationists and to the forest department, who correctly exhort us not to get carried away by the glamour of some charismatic species, and certainly not by the magnetism of a few characters, I must say it was quite a sight to remember. Spanner below and Blackie above. In Hindi they say, "Jab deta hai, chappad phad ke deta hai." The universe was being rather generous on that day. More importantly, as many veterans had promised me, the jinx was well and truly broken. Because after that first sighting, Blackie graced me with 2 hat-trick appearances, even though they were tantalizingly brief. But even that changed on March 6th, 2021, when we got to witness an extended and epic encounter between Blackie and his longtime adversary, a large leopard named Scarface, in the documentary The Real Black Panther. The two contrasting cats had a rare face-off right out in the open on a tall teak tree that had shed its leaves in Kabini's dry season, allowing amazed tourists and photographers in a dozen jeeps to witness the sighting of a lifetime. Weaving boldly between jeeps, Blackie seemed in a ferocious mood. Carefully judging the height of the tree, he then clambered all the way to confront the intruder right up close. It was a dangerous move because Scarface clearly had a position advantage on the only branch at that elevation. And though Blackie has no clue whatsoever that I exist, there I was admonishing him. Are you really going to do this? Don't take such a risk. Remember what Scarface did to you last time? And indeed, if Scarface had managed a more powerful swipe, Blackie could have fallen tens of feet to the ground. But Blackie had something to prove. And once he had demonstrated his determination, he sensibly climbed back down to live to fight another day. And my jaw returned to its rightful place. But why had Scarface wandered so far from where he had been seen last in the backwaters of Zone B, straight here into Blackie's territory in Zone A? Right there was the reason, so cleverly camouflaged in the dry shrubbery. It was Mist, a small, beautiful, blue-green-eyed leopard. She had been in the area for a week. A few tourists had spotted her in a fight with a pack of wild dogs. She had fought valiantly to save her cubs from them, but she had lost the battle and she had injured her own leg in the bargain. And even now, a week later, the grieving mother was sniffing around and calling, not yet willing to give up hope. But of course, we must not take anthropocentrism so far. We must not arbitrarily attribute human emotions and reasons to wild animals, for sure. Yet, feline researchers and ethologists who study animal behavior would no doubt agree that the female leopard, having lost her cubs, will soon come into estrus again. And a very powerful instinct is driving the males to make the best of that short window of opportunity to mate with Mist. And so, this saga will go on. Other male leopards too are moving in. There will be fights, there will be mating, and Blackie may add to his many battle scars. We will anxiously watch and hope that he emerges triumphant and healthy from his next rendezvous. We will pray that recessive gene meets recessive gene and Karia can father a litter of black cubs for the future. And people, especially my family and my friends, often ask me, well, okay, now that you have seen Karia, and that too so many times, and with such rare displays, is it not enough? Will you stop going to Kabini so often? Well, the truth is, I too have been curious about that answer. Am I done with my joyful obsession now? Will the magic fade? Was the idea of Blackie better than the real Blackie? After all, while he looks splendid and handsome from a distance, Blackie is not quite so attractive right up close. Maybe because he heats up more due to his black coat compared to the other leopards. He drools a lot, bringing fang-like extensions to his jaw. And he's hardly ever seen in a good setting for photos. He's capricious, unpredictable. He's both shy and a show-off, as so many exasperated photographers have told me. But somehow none of it seems to matter. The pull of Blackie remains strong for me and for all his fans. After all, he is still the only black panther that you can even hope to see on safari. And Blackie is about 9 years old now. Leopards in the wild are supposed to have a lifespan of about 12 years. Little wonder then that so many of us so greedily try to catch him while we can. But Blackie is only one part of my yearning for the forest. More than anything, this kind of guru of mine has helped channel my mind to keenly observe the forest, its stillness, its changing seasons. I crave to be back, nestled in its silences and in its myriad sounds. I enjoy the diverse beauty at different times of the year, the altered shapes of my favorite trees, the yellow teaks, the axlewoods, the bohemias. My ears are ever open to the chirring of the kingfishers, the trilling of the hill mynas. I marvel every time at the sight of the white-bellied woodpeckers hammering away at the barks of the trees. I still am charmed by the sambar and the cheetal deer, arguably the most beautiful deer in the world. I love to chance upon a tusker. I feel a new frisson at every sighting of a tiger. And in fact, I am overwhelmed with gratitude at the sight of 5 tigers together, which right now I think only Kabini can provide, as a most interesting phenomenon is being observed there. The backwater female, a truly wonderful mother, is often seen with 3 cubs of a new litter who are about a year old, and most unusually, one or the other from a previous litter of 3 who are now more than 3 years old. It is quite the babysitter's club, and as you can imagine, it is attracting researchers from everywhere to the question of how are these animals evolving in the face of plentiful food to cohabit and cooperate in smaller territories. So as you can see, Kabini is about much more than Karia. If you enter the forest with a humble heart and a scientist's mind, you can emerge satiated with both new knowledge and renewed wonder. You can begin to feel your own little space in this beautiful, intricate web of life. No wonder designers want to reimagine cities to include more green spaces, more untamed habitats, so that concrete-weary urbanites can grow roots in nature. So much research is supporting the correlation between forest bathing and our human well-being. We need to urgently make sure that more people, and not just the elite, get to experience nature and forests for themselves. But now I'm tempted to read to you a favorite poem by Wendell Berry that beautifully sums up what I feel. It is called The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. What an enabling expression, to be free just by resting in grace. And truly, Kabini is full of grace. It is a forest that keeps on giving. And now, all of us who love this forest and all the forests on which our futures depend must return the favor. There are so many creative ways to support conservation efforts from right where we live. We have learned so much from the pandemic about how we need to restore our broken relationship with the wild. then what a joyful responsibility we all now have together to become true trustees of the wilderness, to seek out the wild not just as consumers of its many delights, but as co-creators of a future where we help heal this planet and let the planet heal us right back. I fervently hope everyone can find their own Kabini, in a neighborhood park even, or in a nearby grove, or in any green space where humans do not dominate the landscape. I pray everyone can, even for a moment, then feel the visceral connection between the flora, the fauna, and our own health and happiness. And when that one moment grows into many moments, the truism that the journey is the destination becomes more personally real. And maybe then we will all know that there are some stories that never need to end. Namaste, and thank you so much for watching.